This week on Maker Update, an all-natural laser engraver, a fume-free portable workstation, a tool recommendation from Adam Savage, 3D printed Lego tape, and a collection of vintage Mac software that you can run in your browser. It's Wednesday, April 19th. I'm Donald Bell, and welcome to the 30th episode of Maker Update. 30 episodes. It's a minor milestone, but it feels really good, and all the encouragement and notes you guys have given me along the way really helps to keep me motivated, so thank you. It's been a good week. Jordan Bunker and I made some good progress on the Hello Kitty car for Maker Faire yesterday. We've got chains on both motors now, and we've got a brake installed, which is important. We could still really use some funding help though, so if you can put a few bucks towards it, that would be great. I'll leave a link to our Indiegogo campaign in the show notes. Now, if I had to pick my single favorite project this week, it's this CNC engraver that burns images into wood by focusing sunlight through a giant lens. I've never seen anything like this. The project is made by Instructables user rabbitcreek, who's taking this whole thing to Burning Man, and appropriately enough, it's set up to burn a design of the Burning Man logo into wood. Now, aside from the fact that this is more or less a DIY solar-powered laser engraver and could potentially burn down your backyard, it's a surprisingly approachable project. I wouldn't do it for the sake of my own well-being, but I like knowing that I could. The heart of this project is an Adafruit feather board to handle the Arduino code, and a stepper motor feather wing to control the motors. Both can be found for around $20 each. But the star of the show is a pair of $11 stepper motors that are built into these rails that screw up and down. You can stack one on the other, and you've effectively got your X and Y axes, and I had no idea that these things were so cheap. The other key ingredient here is a little servo that moves a thin circle of aluminum into the sunbeam to regulate the burning. Otherwise, the whole thing would really just catch on fire. I love this project, and mostly because I love it when I encounter a project I've just never seen before or have ever even considered. It's great. And for better or for worse, no company is going to make this thing for you, you know? It's just going to continue to sit here as a maker mad scientist project. Although I could imagine you adapting this project for a small little drawing robot maybe, or some other less flammable project. For something far more practical, I also love this portable electronics workbench from Bob Claggett of I Like to Make Stuff. It combines a handmade fume extractor with a burn-resistant surface and an array of helping hands. There's no write-up on this project yet, but the video does a great job of methodically going through each step, so the video is really all you need. Time again for my 1-minute review of a tool I found through the Cool Tools blog. It is one of my favorite ways to discover new, useful, and unexpected tools. This week I'm going to show you these Knipex high leverage cutters. These cost around $35, which isn't cheap for a pair of clippers, but they're indestructible. They're drop forged, so they're extremely tough, and they're rated for cutting through piano wire, which is essentially tempered spring steel, and it easily damages most cutters. Personally, I've used these on cutting away sharp ends of nails and screws, but I'll also use them on overkill things like zip ties or extracting my kids' toys from those packaging tie downs. It's safer and more satisfying than a box cutter, in my opinion. Also, and I probably should have led with this, these were reviewed on the Cool Tools blog by Adam Savage. He loves them, and that endorsement alone was enough for me. I've got an Amazon link in the show notes, and by using that link, you help to support this show and the Cool Tools blog and podcast. By the way, on the podcast this week, they have an interview with Simone Giertz, so check that out. Now for a few extra tips I found this week. Over on MakeZine, the latest tip roundup from Gareth Brandwin includes a tip on using a shop vac to dig out post holes, which I'm curious to try. Also a tip on using PVC pipe sections to create holsters for power drills. On Instructables, I found another guide on using laser cut patterns to create flexible hinges in your designs. This one comes from CncFactory, and they include a number of fancy patterns that you can download and test out. Over on Adafruit, the Ruiz brothers have an excellent guide on making your own adhesive Lego tape using NinjaFlex filament and any 3D printer that has a heated glass bed. The glass gives the NinjaFlex the super smooth surface that it needs in order to stick to things, but it's also still rigid enough to lock into Lego pieces. It looks like a lot of fun. Finally, through Popular Mechanics, I learned about a new batch of 80s and 90s Mac programs that you can browse, download, and even use right from archive.org. The Mac emulator is built right in, so you can just load up something like Dark Castle, go full screen, and waste some serious time. But it's also a great resource if you wanted to make a vintage Mac emulator on a Raspberry Pi. Maker fairs! There's a whole bunch of them this weekend, including New Orleans, Chemnitz, Germany, Burlington, North Carolina, Westport, Connecticut, Bloomsburg, Pennsylvania, and Red Deer in Alberta, Canada. If one of those is near you, you should go out and mingle with your fellow makers. And that's it for this week's Maker Update. Be sure to subscribe if you're not subscribed already. And if you could leave me a thumbs up or leave a comment, that would be great. That's always great. And if you like those high leverage Knipex cutters that I talked about earlier, there's an Amazon link in the show notes. Use that to buy them, and you are going to help support the show and the Cool Tools blog, and it's at no additional cost to you. All right? So thanks for watching, and I'll see you next week.